Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the eclipse. It's coming on Saturday, well, Sunday morning, officially Eastern Time, at around 2:40 a.m. And unfortunately, it's not going to be visible in North America. It's visible, I believe, in parts of Africa and Asia. But we're still going to feel it in the middle of the night, or maybe you're already feeling it now. As I say all the time, eclipse energy is powerful, and it rings in changes and decisions and shows us things suddenly we didn't see before, can surprise us, can, excuse me, it's very hot today, it's about 40 degrees. It can sort of like photobomb our lives, if you will. Just sort of go like, something surprises us, and right now it's going to be happening with Cancer planets, because we're at the solstice, Cancer sun, Cancer moon, solar eclipse. But we also still have planets in Capricorn that are opposing it, and that's why it's a very powerful eclipse, because you activate the mother and father energy, the nurturer and the authoritarian, both signs of leadership, though, and very strong in their own right, but it's the ultimate sort of masculine, feminine axis, and it just tends to bring out something more powerful in us. If you have mother issues, dad issues, authority issues, if you if you need to be more bold, if you need to stand down and be more receptive, the message that you get out of this eclipse might be perhaps a little stronger than the previous one on June 5th, which was lunar, and it was all about, this messy sort of mutable planets, all Gemini and Pisces and Neptune going just like, huh? So I don't know how you feel now that you've gone through that first eclipse. It might have just sort of shaken you up, and slowly the dust is settling in your head again, or that snow globe image I like to use. Or maybe you're still reeling from whatever that was and not clear, and this next eclipse could bring something much more into clarity. And then we have a third eclipse coming early July. Triple whammy. So because there's so much fear in the air and so much changing and so much uncertainty, I'm going to offer you my full extended tarot, extended astrology, and a little card and surprise little reading for each sign. So here we go. I'm going to burn some sage. If I always recommend, it's a good idea to clear and cleanse yourself. Burn some sage, some cedar, some sweetgrass, some Palo Santo, whatever kind of incense you might have around if you don't have these. Rosemary, you can dry rosemary and burn it. Very powerful for cleansing. And we're going to clear the cards too. Alright, so this is the cards for the eclipse period, for the full moon period. So the cards are meant to be not just the eclipse the day of, but for the next couple weeks between the solar eclipse and the next lunar eclipse. So for the next 2 weeks of changes, that's what we're looking at with this reading. How do we handle the next 2 weeks? Okay? So our first card is the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords says truce. It's Jupiter in Libra, and it means a time of laying down your swords. As you can see, 4 swords meet in the middle of a flower, surrounded by green, which is more a heart color. The outside is blue and yellow, which is a little more like throat chakra, a little more mental energy, lots of chatter, lots of blah, blah, blah. And you're trying to create a way to have a safe space to have a good talk, creating the time, the right tone, bringing the right people together to get an agreement on something. That's the first feeling I'm getting. The second card is the Princess of Swords. So there's someone around, and this could be you, but it could be someone around you. Princess of Swords is sort of like very, very cerebral. She's like feisty and mouthy, and she's a smarty pants. She's clever. She can be a bit cunning if she wants to. Mainly, she's just rebellious. She's a lot of, yeah, well, you can't make me, you know, kind of. Oh, yeah? Well, I'll show you. I'm going to go do this anyway. No, 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 no. Oh, yeah? Well, you're wrong because, you know, that's usually Princess of Swords. And she usually does have a lot of knowledge, but it's not complete. She's still a princess. She's not a queen. So she's missing some facts, or she's missing the whole nuance that there are other things at play than just ideas. And so she gets herself into all kinds of arguments or debates or battles. And she's anxious, and she can't calm down, and she can't stop talking a lot of the time, or she's defensive, and so it's hard to deal with her. So this might be you. Might be someone around you that's difficult in your vicinity in any capacity, that's causing a wave, you know? The third card here is the Magician, and it's the more, there's 3 magicians in this deck, and so this is more the feminine version. So we have an interesting feeling about that. The Magician is, you know, the jack of all trades, the manifester, the entrepreneur, the designer. Now, this feels to me like somebody around who is quite competent and capable, and a little more self-contained, like maybe works for themselves or doesn't really answer to anybody. I don't find the feeling of this person as very flamboyant or pushy or overbearing. Like, it's more feminine again. So somebody works maybe very successfully, but behind the scenes. Someone who may know all the right people, but will never tell you. And things just happen for that person. So that's very curious, because you've got the need for a truce, the need for calming down this Princess of Swords. And then you have this very strong, quiet, receptive, but powerful person in the midst. So maybe this is someone you want to invite to that table to help calm this Princess of Swords. Maybe the princess needs to get her own act together and do something of her own without worrying about pleasing other people. If she's so determined, you may just want to let her go her own way. Let her do her own work. Let her do what she wants. Figure it out herself. Let her find a mentor, if that's a mentor. Maybe this is a mediator, or somebody who's going to come in like a therapist feeling, you know, to help with your truce meeting. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Oh, we have a little ant walking across the cards. The ant, as a totem, represents teamwork. Nothing's for nothing, friends. Our next card is the 5 of Cups, which is being emotionally disappointed. So you can see it's a Scorpio card, Mars and Scorpio card, so people can often feel manipulated with Mars and Scorpio. There can be a great passion, though. Wow, you know? But there's also obsession, stalking. That's part of Mars and Scorpio, too. Spying. The cups are empty. The water is murky. The skies are red. People are pissed off. People feel burnt. Mars and Scorpio can take revenge. You know, we'll keep going with these cards, but hopefully this isn't a sign that this princess is going to take revenge, or somebody in and around. I would say to solve, you know, to get to the truce factor, the clearing of air, you'll have to recognize that somebody feels pretty disappointed or betrayed. And that has to come out onto the table, otherwise you won't solve anything superficially. Next card, Venus in Aries, Four of Wands, sorry. Well, you can see it's a complete circle of fire, or golden circle. There's fire in the middle. It could be a circle of golden fire, we don't know. Everything's pretty balanced. Everyone has their space. Look at that perfect social distancing on that card. It sort of suggests going your own way, doing your own thing, looking out for number one, being bold, speaking your mind, not being afraid to be yourself. But the circle suggests that, again, this feeling of laying things down in the middle and striking a balance or a talk. But then Venus is sort of floating there above and Aries below, and it looks like there's an inner circle that's all working well, and then there's outsiders. And the card is green, which is the heart again, but darker green. And gives me a feeling somebody's feeling left out, and could be brought into the circle. It also says that perhaps in the other direction, somebody may be realizing they do not want to be part of a circle, and they're stepping out and they're following their own heart. The next card is the Six of Wands. Sorry, it's just so hot today. I'm like, my glasses are sliding off my nose. Heat wave. All right, the next card, yeah. Six of Wands, victory. Lots of fire again, more wands. So we move from these swords, which is all like talk, ideas, blah, 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 anxiety, analyzing. This magician comes in and shifts it, and people get in touch with what their deeper disappointments are, and then they start to think about how they can honor themselves and others in a healthier way. And then the Six of Wands comes in, Jupiter in Leo, self-expression. Again, look at the space. Everything's nicely spaced apart, all individual little flames. You know, you have two sort of butterfly looking tops to the wands, heads of the wands, and you have flowers, and you have a bird. You've got a nice harmony there. It looks like that closed, tight circle has let the others in, has given some breathing room to the way it runs or the way it functions. Maybe there's been a new sort of agreement of the emotional boundaries or the structure, or something that allows those two floating people or that rebellious person to now come into the fray, and there's room for everyone to be a little more themselves with the victory card, because everybody can breathe. And there's a nice blue. The wands are nice and, you know, glowing, and there's small flames. Nothing's gonna burn the house down. And the coolness, it just gives me this nice feeling like, okay, you do that, that's your thing, you do you, I'll do me. Okay, we're still a unit. We don't have to break apart. We just need a little space. What an interesting reading. Okay, the next card is the Seven of Swords. So we're back to the swords. Seven of Swords means somebody is walking away or moving on. Could be you, could be somebody. So, you know, that version of, you know, having space and inclusion may not work for everyone or you. Seven of Swords is futility, like, pff, why bother? Just cut and run, move house, walk away, quit the job, say no to the thing that isn't working for you. Someone around you will do that, or you might do that. You could literally be thinking of moving, but it's interesting because it looks like there's a problematic situation that finds a solution, and then it's still not a solution for everybody. So it's going to work for most, but not for everybody. And the one that it doesn't work for is going to move. Our next card is the Queen of Cups. So it's hard to see her face beyond all of these wave formations or this giant moon. She's got a heron beside her, and that requires, you know, that's a totem for waiting very patiently. You know, the heron's completely still until it's ready to strike, and then it strikes like a needle point, like poof, like a little tiny, quick, precise, surgical movement to catch its prey. And it represents self-sufficiency and boldness again, and faith in life. And you see the lilies, or the water lilies floating. You see the waves. She's got also a lotus, and she seems to be cradling something in her arms. Queen of Cups is a very watery card, like a Cancer. Right now we've got some planets in Cancer. We've got Mercury retrograde in Cancer. A lot of people are just gonna like withdraw into their own feelings with that. There'll be an awful lot of, you know, there'll be people that are just fine to be introverted, thank you very much. And she can withdraw. She's very nurturing and caring, very intuitive, very creative, but she's not gonna just give herself to anybody. She needs to feel like she's safe. So just see, you know, is that you? Is that someone around you? Is that what you need right now? And our last card, oh, lovely. The last card is beautiful. It's the Lust card, or the Strength. So this woman is actually the whore of Babylon. Yeah. And what she represents is basically, she's basically saying, I am a woman, I'm powerful, I am sexual, and that doesn't diminish me. I don't have to be a Madonna, I don't have to be a mother to be pure and wonderful. I can also unleash my sensuality and sexuality and still be a pure, wonderful being. And she's laying back on this lion. The lion has many heads, and she's drawing down this sort of elixir from the heavens, and she's able to tap into something far greater than herself. This horizon line up here, everything gets clearer. All of these snakes go, and all this color burst. She's tapping into some essential force of life or passion for life, and she's able to express it, and she's able to express it in any way, whether it's creatively, sexually, verbally. She is free to do so, and she will do so. So it's very interesting from the Queen of Cups to that, because that's completely opposite. One is like, I'll just keep that to myself. I'll stay with my own thoughts. I'm just fine. I don't have to say anything. I'll just do what I need to do quietly and withdraw. And then this is like, grab it by the, you know what. What an interesting read. Okay. I'm going to sum up that this eclipse is going to bring up issues of whether you feel you belong or whether you don't. To what do you belong? Who is your group? Who is your tribe? If you must go, you know, if you're struggling like that Princess of Swords, it may not be your group. If you feel shoved out of something, then it wasn't your group. If you don't feel you can express yourself, because we have 2 cards here, actually 3 of like full-on, I'm expressing myself, I am who I am. If you don't feel that level of acceptance or comfort, then you're not in the right place. Whether that's your group, your family, your city, your couple, your job, you're not in the right place. And so there's a decision to move on. That could be someone walks away from your vicinity or group, home, city, couple. You could be the one walking away from something, but somebody's walking away. Somebody is going to be very like sort of protective at first, and then they're going to blossom once they feel safe. So I think it's a beautiful reading, actually. All right, stay tuned now for the individual readings for these signs. Just cracking the cards, clearing the vibe, and I'm going to burn, I think this time I will burn some Palo Santo. I love the smell of this. And you know, this particular one little piece has lasted me over a year and it's still going. It's amazing. It just gives you a little beautiful smell. It lightens the vibe, and it lasts. So you might want to get some if you like that. Oh yeah, love it. Okay, so what I'm going to do this time for the readings for the signs is I'm going to pull you one card, and then I'm going to pull a remedy, a Bach Flower Remedy. But first, we are going to discuss the astrology chart of the eclipse. Aren't I teasing you? I'm terrible, eh? All right. I want everyone to learn astrology. So this eclipse, the sun is conjunct the moon. So they're side by side at the same degree on top of each other, thus an eclipse. Alrighty. So when the sun and the moon are in Cancer, everybody's going to be sensitive. Cancer's all about nurturing and being inside a little shell, being all cozy and safe and warm inside your mummy's tummy before you're born. And then they look for that set of conditions in life once they're out of the womb, and they know how to create wonderful meals and a comfortable home, and they know how to hug you at the right time and listen to your problems. They're very motherly, so you might experience with the sun and moon in Cancer wonderful nurturing moments with your own mom or with friends, or you might offer that to somebody who really needs it. You might realize you need it, but it brings that out. On top of that, we have the north node of the moon at 29 degrees Gemini, so it's a degree away. So the north node is also on top of all of these planets. And this really emphasizes the need for a feminine energy and a feminine approach to life right now. I think we've seen enough aggression and violence and trying to control and dominate and use authority to get or rules that we're making more walled off. I think we know already what the masculine has done. And I'm not saying men, I'm saying masculine approach. You know, not all men are doing that, and not all women are all feminine all the time either. We're just saying we've had enough domination and control and authority as a way of solving life. It's led to all kinds of distortions and violence. What we need now is a feminine, nurturing approach. We need that gentleness. We need that safe space. We need things to calm down. We need to be able to feel that we are vulnerable like we would be with our mothers, and that we will be heard and taken care of. I think we all sorely know that we need that. So this eclipse will definitely emphasize some of those dramatic differences. I'm hoping we don't see another crazy, horrible, violent weekend or anything like that, or events that emphasize the opposite extreme, because we still have Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto in Capricorn, emphasizing that, the rebellion, the revolution, the control at all costs, the domination, the conglomeration of everything. Let's hope that you can be experiencing this need or these qualities of comfort and nurturing and vulnerability and care without it having to come about from some nasty extreme. That's my wish for us, for you, for the planet. Now, if you're in the Eastern time zone, the rising sign for this eclipse would be Taurus. So when you get Cancer with a Taurus rising, you get somebody again who wants things to be calm and stable. A loyal friend, feed you when you're down, listen to you, parent you, knock some sense into you, but in a caring way, tough love kind of way. We might see also, because of Taurus and Cancer, a lot of gardening. I mean, it is the season, but a lot of people getting back to the earth, back to the land. Now, again, if you're in the Eastern Hemisphere, based on Taurus as the ascendant, Uranus will be in the 12th house, but it's almost right on the ascendant. So that gives, unfortunately, that rebellious energy again. Or it gives surprises with anything Taurus, your jaw, your neck, your teeth, your throat. If it's health, if it's your stuff, your house, if it's your bank account. With Uranus there's always surprises. They could be good or bad. But there's restlessness, and there's like a flash surprise. Also, that same Uranus is squaring off with Jupiter, so that unfortunately could be a sign of more uprising or more protest or another incident. I'm really hoping not, but the astrology would sort of say it could be. Now we still have Mars and Neptune in Pisces, making things again murky, passive, passive-aggressive, covert, not clear, no clear beginning or end, no clear decision. You know, it can make things uncomfortable, it can make things intuitive. You know, psychic communication with people could be super strong right now because of Mars in Pisces, all these Cancer planets, and Mercury in Cancer retrograde, which is pretty much like a psychic position anyway, where they don't really like conflict and they don't really want to talk all the time. So they're hoping that you'll read their mind or you'll read theirs, and that empathy will rule, you know, actions, and the emotional vibe will rule the actions, and we don't have to talk about it so much. You combine that with Mars and Neptune in Pisces, even though they're making a good angle to each other, you get somebody that really is like that Queen of Cups. Like, she's in her head, she's in her feelings, she's not saying much, she's hard to read. So you get a lot of like, what the hell was that? Where'd they go? Why aren't they saying anything? Why won't they talk about it? Or, in the good side, you get intuitive communication, where you might look at somebody and you just sort of know without having to say much. Or, if you get that nurturing side that comes out with both and Mars and Pisces, you could have amazing creative moments, amazing talks, amazing bonding that'll feel magical. It can go either way with these planets. And then you've got, you know, this Mercury retrograde in Cancer, just to re-emphasize. Cancer hates language barriers. Cancer hates conflict. Cancer Mercury is very good at remembering everything. They might not remember it like a lawyer to quote the facts in the article. It was, you know, where it was published on what day. But they have an emotional memory that remembers everything. They remember the tone. They remember the context accurately, but it's all recorded in an emotional way. So it's going to be tricky for people that aren't good at their emotions. It's going to be tricky for people that aren't using their intuition. All right, let's get to your readings now. All right, Aries. Your card is the Five of Wands. It says strife, Saturn in Leo. You got to ask yourself if there's any conflicts brewing. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many opinions, too many experts. Saturn in Leo, too many egos in the room. You might not be expressing yourself to your full potential. You might be suppressing your own desire to shine. You might be in a situation where you feel like you can't. So you might want to address that one. So I'm going to pick a remedy for you. Okay. Your Bach Flower Remedy, can you see it? Is impatience. Impatience. It is what this says. There's not a mystery. You've got to be patient with yourself, with others. You might be around somebody who's very impatient, and their impatience and anger, frustration is building up and causing a problem. It could just be generally the feeling in the air. If you want to use the remedies, all you do, you can use it for yourself or for a group. All you do is put a little drop under your tongue if you want to take it yourself, or you can put it in a glass of water if you want to calm down, or use it for your house. Everybody's going crazy and impatient. Just put a couple of drops somewhere on the carpet or the front hall. Okay, Taurus, if you notice that I switched where I'm sitting, my phone actually got so hot in this heat wave that it died. So I waited until things were cooler and decided to sit down somewhere else. All right. So Taurus, here we go. Your card is the Four of Swords, like we mentioned earlier in the video for the general reading. So you might want to go back and take a look at that again. So basically it's a time of everyone getting out of their head into their heart and having the talk that needs to be had. It's a coming together, a meeting of minds, creating space to talk in a safe way. This is a 4, so it might mean multiple people, not just 2, but it can be your couple, it could be groups, could be your work, could be family talks, but there's a need to carve out a time and a space, and the card says truce. So if there's been any kind of conflict, disappointment, or misunderstanding, then it's time to come together and clear that. Now the remedy that I picked for you is called Heather. So it's a Bach Flower Remedy. Heather is the remedy that's used for people who are afraid to be alone or end up alone. So a lot of the time, you know, people have all kinds of different behavior when they're scared to be alone. A lot of them will tend to like overshare or tell you their whole life story quickly when you meet them. Sometimes you feel you can't get a word in because they've got so much to say because they've just been so lonely. And often some of the behaviors that we do, you know, when we're afraid to be alone actually do push people away. So in conjunction with the card, you might want to look at yourself or the people around you that you need to speak with. Is anybody deep down afraid of being alone, and could that be part of the behavior that might be causing some issues? Yeah. All right. So Gemini, let's take a look at your card and your Bach Flower Remedy for this month. Well, it's not the month, it's this 2-week period between the solar eclipse and the next lunar eclipse, so about 2 weeks. So Gemini, your card is the Queen of Discs. So this is a more earthy, down, you know, practical, businessy. She likes her money, she likes her status, she likes her comforts. She's got this ram out front who's sort of protecting her and sort of almost like, what do you want? What are you doing here? The Queen is busy. The Queen is resting. Leave her alone. kind of feeling. So you might be feeling that you're dealing with somebody who's very materialistic, or somebody that wants to even grow an empire. She looks like she's looking out over her empire. And she's, you know, ambitious and long-term thinking and planning, and wants what she wants. And she wants a good life. She wants material and physical financial stability. Thank you very much. So you have to think about who this could be, and it would be a message either of you know, sort of assessing that relationship with her, and whether you need to alter or say anything or encourage it, whatever have you. This also, this kind of lady can be a great benefactor. You know, she can be, if she's in her philanthropist side, she's very generous, has a lot to give, and has the means to do it. So she's in and around you for the next couple of weeks, and you have to figure out what role does she play. So your remedy, Gemini, is Rock Rose. Okay. So I believe Rock Rose is one of the combinations in the Rescue Remedy, and I'm just going to double check that. Rock Rose. Okay. So Rock Rose, sometimes fear reaches such a fever pitch you find yourself absolutely incapable of dealing with it, accompanied by what can be likened to a form of mental paralysis as a result. By taking Rock Rose, you're awakening your personal will so that you can face up to what's scaring you and put up with, put a light and a fight for mental freedom. Wow, is that ever a Gemini remedy or what? All right, so Rock Rose then is part of the Rescue Remedy. Rescue Remedy is a combination of 4 remedies. So this one is, you know, if you are feeling that your fear and anxiety have reached like a height, you know, if you're basically, that's panic attacks, you know, nightmares, dark thoughts, obsessive compulsive thoughts, you might want to take the Rock Rose or the Rescue Remedy and help calm yourself down so you can just take a step back, gather your mind, and figure out what you've got to do next. All right? Cancer, let's look at for you. So interesting, Cancer, you've got the 7 of Swords like we also had in the main reading. So if you want to go back to that again, remember what we said. This is walking away, moving on, no point, not worth it. It can be actually moving locations. You might be making a move literally with your apartment if you're here in Quebec. July 1st is our moving day, so it falls into this 2-week frame. Or you might be making plans or have a vision of moving to a new home, a new apartment, a new city, a new country, relocating for a while. And if it's not relating on that basic, you know, that big level, then it could be that you're walking away from a group, you're deciding that it's not worth fighting, you're detaching from certain people. It's an Aquarius card, so it basically means you're detaching to get the bigger picture. It's cool, you know, these are air cards and swords. So it's sort of like cool yourself, detach, move away, move on from whatever you need to move away or move on from. It's time to make a plan to walk away or move. So Cancer, let's see what your remedy is. Ah, Elm. Okay. Elm I already know well because I take it sometimes. So Elm is for people that are normally very strong and work very hard, who are just feeling maxed out and overwhelmed. So this isn't for somebody who's like lazy and doesn't know what to do and to make them work harder. This isn't for somebody who's inactive. This is somebody who's probably caretaking or doing too many things at once, too many projects or too many people you support, feeling overwhelmed. One sign of feeling overwhelmed is you suddenly, your memory isn't as good as it was. You're forgetting shit. You're more tired. Your sleep is thrown off. Your food eating is thrown off. Your back might be hurting. You might have trouble just being step by step and make a decision. It's classic signs of burnout. So elm is the remedy to go to for burnout symptoms if you're having that. Maybe I should take some now. No, I'm actually pretty good right now. Alrighty, because I'm a Cancer, by the way. So, Leo, let's see what's up for you. Very nice. Okay, Leo has the 8 of Pentacles, or discs. So this is the Sun and Virgo card. You can see there's a beautiful plant. It's very strongly rooted, and it's growing upwards, and it's flowering, and the flowers are protected by all these different leaves, and then you have the sun at the top. You have the fields behind that look like they're green and cultivating. So this is a wonderful card of slow and steady and sure progress and growth. So that includes learning things slowly, steadily if you're in school, or learning something of a trade, or learning by observation from people. It includes, for business, growing slowly and steadily, and Virgo is, all about the details. Maybe could be a sign to do some accounting, or some tightening up of, well, not really tightening up, just keeping track. But basically, you're on a very good track when you get this card that says prudence. So you see like caution, but very strong growth. So that means that your mind is on track with what you're thinking right now. That's wonderful. So, I'm going to pull a remedy for you. Okay, chicory remedy. All right, some of these I've used and know well, and some of these I still have to look up. I'm pretty sure chicory is about control. So let me see, 194. Okay. On the surface, chicory people may seem selfless, since it appears that they're devoting in time and energy to worrying about others. But in fact, they are over-possessive, constantly prying into the lives of those close to them. If this leads to rejection, self-pity takes hold. Since they can't see why their attention is not appreciated, taking the remedy helps people with these problems to show true concern. Very interesting. You may want to ask yourself if this is you, and you may want to ask yourself if this is someone close to you. So chicory does have like a need for control to feel secure, and this is saying that, by listening and helping and getting into other people's lives, it's actually sometimes a need for control, not a true concern. So that's a hard message to hear. I'm surprised given the card. But you know what? When things are going steady and there's growth to that degree with the 8 of discs, when things are solid, now it's like, okay, you're good. We're going to take you down to the deeper layer now of the onion, and now there's other things that you should really look at to get your life going better. So just ask yourself that question, Leo. All right, Virgo. Hey, Virgo. Oh no, 9 of Swords. There's a betrayal. Somebody's being two-faced. Somebody's being verbally abusive or cruel. Somebody is lying, hiding things, scamming stuff. Somebody's having difficulty with their health, with their blood. You see, The 9 swords are bleeding. Mars is in Gemini. Too many faces, too many changeable, too many unpredictable. Can't count on the consistency or inconsistency, more like, of somebody. Check and see whether you feel that you're being used, whether you are being told the truth, whether someone's transparent with you. Yeah, not the most fun, but sometimes the eclipses come along and they help us clear and clean things from our lives. So if you're shown somebody who's not loyal or trustworthy, then it's time, obviously, to address it. Let's take a look now at the remedy for you, Virgo. And we get rock water. Okay. Rock water is an interesting one. I'm pretty sure I remember it is about being introverted. But I will double check with my book. Okay, rock water remedy. Rock water will help you find yourself in danger of becoming a martyr to your beliefs. Way. Interesting. This is largely because you might have allowed yourself to become rigid, inflexible, and personally that finds it impossible to compromise, even though to others it would seem naturally common sense to at least consider compromising. Alrighty. You'll also be particularly hard on yourself, just as nothing and no one can deflect you from the highest ideals you have set for yourself. You'll force yourself to try to live up to them at all costs. And if necessary, as a part of this quest for perfection, you'll starve yourself of leisure and pleasure, like a Puritan fanatic of old. You'll govern yourself with a rod and iron. Okay. So, rock water, are you being too hard on yourself? That card, the 9 of Swords, could be you being abusive towards yourself too. If you're speaking nasty to yourself, if you're too hard on yourself, if you expect ultimate perfection and you're shitting on yourself for not being that, stop abusing yourself. So if you're not finding that someone else is treating you that way, ask yourself, am I betraying myself? Am I too hard or self-abusing? And this remedy may help you. Wow, the remedies are giving really powerful messages. I'm liking this, actually. I hope you are too. All right, so I'm going to mix them again now for Libra. Okay, Libra. Your card is the 8 of Cups. So you're feeling like you just want to give up on something or somebody. Saturn in Pisces. I don't belong. I don't fit. Why bother? No one understands me. I'm not being heard. I've tried everything. It's not working. I give up. Cups are empty. Maybe a couple of them getting a little bit of water. Otherwise, the seas look black. Now, the card, though, is Saturn in Pisces, which means the life lesson of seeing that we are all interconnected and that we are all one. Which doesn't mean codependency. It just means that we are all on this planet and we are connected in some intricate way to everything and everyone that walks on the planet. Animals, birds, and humans, and trees, and rivers alike. So if you're feeling this level of giving up or despair, I think it's a good way to reconnect yourself either through nature or through animals. Somewhere where you like to go, where you can feel yourself connected to everyone again. This makes sense to me that you might feel like that as a Libra during all this COVID quarantining and locking down and isolation, because Libras need to be social. So if you're feeling really lonely and it's making you feel really this dark, then try to find a green space or somewhere you feel safe to be outside. Or if you've got pets, really try to connect to something that gives you a bigger sense of the planet and your place in it. You know, don't watch too much negative news or negative movies or whatever. Surround yourself with things that are uplifting and peaceful right now. And let's see what your remedy is, Libra. Okay. Okay. Clematis. Now, this one I know, because it was recommended to me when I needed it. Somebody spotted that I was in that state. So basically what clematis is, it's somebody who's like a dreamer and a creator, and they've got many things going through their mind, many plans that they want to do, and many projects, and they can't start. And they can't figure out where to start. So at the time that this was recommended to me, I wasn't sure whether I should put more energy into my business or my home, or should I start painting again, or maybe I should do this volunteer thing, or maybe I should do something for the community, or maybe. And I just was staying in maybe, and I wonder. I wonder. Anyway, so clematis, if you take it, I found it helped me to decide to start tackling something, to get started on something. Didn't matter which. So this is a great one for indecision. All right, Scorpio. Oh boy. The Tower. There's no other way to say this. The Tower is a wake-up call. The Tower is something forcing you to change. It's something that is long overdue. And once you realize what this is, you'll say, oh God, it's so true. I needed to do that so long ago. Yeah, I knew it was coming. Yeah, I've been on the fence for a long time. Yes, I know this is broken. I should fix it. That kind of and then Tower comes in and says, forcing you, do it. Giving you conditions to free yourself. Basically, that's what it does. It liberates you. So, I will say this to you, as someone said to me once, let your life fall apart. It'll be good for you. Let's pick a remedy for you then. Interesting. Gentian. Not ginseng. Gentian. Gentian is a very good one for the will. If you're having trouble following through with something like, well, the Tower, kind of whatever that situation is, something that you've been letting go and not acting on. So you take gentian when you need the will to follow through on something difficult. I've taken it over the course of years. I find it very helpful. And I took it at a time when I knew what I had to do, but I was scared to do it. So, all right, let's take a look at you now, Sagittarius. My goodness, Princess of Swords. So we go back to the reading at the beginning again. Princess of Swords. You see her. She's struggling. She's clinging to a pedestal that's only supported by clouds. And yet she's still fighting tooth and nail, whipping her sword around like that, like crazy. There's lightning or like smog being blown at her. Skies aren't clear. She's with her sword just trying to battle it off. But she doesn't really have much of a leg to stand on. And she's wearing green, so she's all heart. She's purely coming from her feelings. You know, what she believes is true, but she's fighting. She's often very complicated. She makes her own life complicated. she's not looking at other aspects of the problem. She's stuck in the mental realm, and she's just debating and arguing and fighting. And she's not seeing that there's a whole other side to things that would make it better. So if this is you, you might need to recognize where you're getting into useless battles and arguments. You might need to set down your sword and realize how you're really feeling, and that it's not really helpful to fight. And if it's someone around you, you know, you may need a little bit of intervention or help to deal with her or help her. Sag, let's pick your remedy now. Interesting. Walnut. Walnut is one of my main go-to remedies. Walnut is for protection. Walnut is for boundaries. Walnut is for when it's difficult to say no. When people are invading your space, or you find they're asking you for things, impinging on you in some way, and you keep saying yes. Even physical space, if you're having any kind of disputes with people over physical space. You can give this to pets as well. I've given this to my cats when they're fighting, because it creates the feeling of protection and a boundary, and they will stop fighting within half an hour and share the same couch again. Yeah. I take it when I am in a period where I know that I'm tired, or I feel vulnerable in a situation or with certain people that I find difficult to say no to. When I'm having trouble just being assertive, when, you know, like I said, physical space issues. With the social distancing, we should all be taking walnut right now. It's the perfect remedy for that. So you may find that you want to take some walnut to help you also feel like you have your own personal bubble intact. All right, Capricorn. Very nice. What Capricorn doesn't want to see the Ace of Discs? This is new job, new money, something productive. It can be, usually it's like something new. It could be a small loan. It's not a huge one. It could be a chunk of money coming your way. It could be that you're paid for a contract. It could be that you get a new job. It can also be a new friend that is just beginning, but it's slow and blossoming, and it's real. It's a very real, grounded, down-to-earth beginning, and sometimes comes with money. And you can trust this card. It's a beautiful, beautiful card. So whatever you've got in the works, it looks solid. Let's pick a remedy for you. This isn't a Bach remedy, it's another kind of remedy. But this one is amazing. Mariposa lily. This one is all about self-mothering. I had a dream about this remedy. I was literally told the words. I woke up in the morning with mariposa on my mind, and I saw flowers in my dream. And a naturopath told me to get it, and that it sounded like it fit. So this is the remedy you use when you're having any kind of trauma around your mother or motherhood, being a mother. And it helps you to nourish and nurture yourself in a very deep way. So very interesting that you get that, plus the Ace of Discs. There's enormous healing progress in that reading for you. So I hope that you do experience that during this next eclipse period. All right, Aquarius. Aquarius. All right, I guess the eclipse is making me want to sing. Okay, so for you, Aquarius, we have the Empress. So this is like the queen of the universe, mother figure. She knows how to do all things: cooking, nurturing animals, being creative, listening to people, counseling people. She's truly a queen. You can see her on her throne with the new moon and full moon at either side. You can see like a mountain behind her. She's surrounded by sort of an ovum or eggs, which suggest her fertility. She's got a swan at the bottom with like many little goslings. I think that's what you call baby swans, goslings. And she's got a family crest. So this is very much a card of dealing with your family, nurturing others, being in communion with your kids. And if you're not literally a mother or don't feel close to your family, then you need to figure out what is your family. Who is your family? Who makes you feel nourished and nurtured? And spend some time really enjoying those connections, making them deeper, doing thoughtful things, listening to each other more, acts of kindness, you know, doing those things that are tender. That's really going to make your life feel a lot better right now. So maybe you need a little TLC or a little mothering yourself. Yeah. Alrighty. Let's see for Aquarius what the remedy is. Huh. Very interesting. Okay, Mimulus. Mimulus is a remedy for dealing with fear. So I'm just going to re-look it up because there's a number of remedies that are for similar emotions, but they have really specific details. All right. 38. All right, remedies for fear. Mimulus, generally speaking, is a remedy derived from Mimulus that will help dispel everyday fears and anxieties that can be positively identified. Yeah. The remedies are broken down into different things for fear. So there's one is for the fear of the unknown, things you can't control. Another one is for generalized fear or impending doom, and you don't know what it is. You just sense there's something and you can't figure out why. Mimulus is for the fears that you actively are aware of right now, but you can't settle your mind. So examples include a fear of public speaking, a fear of animals, fear of the dark. People with marked negative Mimulus traits tend to be shy and nervous. Frequently, they'll take refuge in their own company rather than get involved in social situations or ask for help. The remedy stimulates the inner reserves of strength and courage that lie concealed under the surface worries and anxieties, and enable you to face and overcome those fears. So, you know, this is one that you use if you know that you have an active, still heat wave. If you know that you have an active brain around a specific fear that keeps coming up, like, you know, I don't know, let's say you're taking an exam or a test, or you have to go for an MRI and you can't stop thinking about your fear of it. You know, this is the remedy that will help you sort of lift the fear and find the reserves of courage to face it. So you probably do need some TLC if I'm picking Mimulus with the nurturing card. Don't be afraid or ashamed to reach out to people, Aquarius. Really. Most of us wish that Aquarians would show us their sensitive side more, because there are some nice people in the world who will be nice to you when you need it. And last but not least, Pisces. Oh, I can feel a cool breeze finally coming. All right, Pisces, you have the Five of Swords. So the card says, unfortunately, failure. Oh, no, sorry, defeat. So this is an arguing kind of card. This is like too many people with too many ideas arguing. It's not resolvable. As you can see, the Five Swords are creating an inverted pentagram. And that means that all of that negativity is creating a very dark energy. So usually this is the time when you have to withdraw and leave the fight, or it can be harmful to stay. So let's pick your remedy then. All right, and we get impatience. I pulled that for someone else too. Can't remember who. Oh yeah, Aries. Now we're back. Okay. Impatience. Yes. Ask yourself if you are feeling restless, anxious, frustrated, and impatient. If you're sick of whatever you've got on your plate, if you're frustrated with people, if you're getting, road rage or anxious when you're waiting in lines, if you're pressuring people to decide things before they're ready, if you're like, why isn't it now? Yeah, impatience is good. And especially with that Five of Swords, you or someone around you might be creating a lot of that conflict or participating in it. Your part in it maybe is from the impatience. I'm still going to say, though, that with the Five of Swords, it's time to walk away, not just take remedies and stay in the conflict zone. It's time to let yourself go. Let yourself take a rest or hiatus. Be silent. Stand down. Let other people duke it out. That would be my advice. So if you would like a personal reading, I can be reached at river-rain.com, Clairvoyant Medium Catherine Allen on Facebook or Instagram. And I wish you well, and I hope the eclipse brings you some positive changes and awakening. All right, take care.